Hey guys, how's it going? It's Rob Sutton with Bike 198, and today I want to talk about what the state of the biking industry is going to look like in 2023, and if all the reports are correct, doesn't look so hot. So let's get into it. So I'm sure you guys have seen the reports, the tweets, the discussions, all talking about what the industry is going to look like next year, and what they're all basically saying is that we are going to have an excess of inventory like we've never seen in the industry before. Now, to explain how we got there, why don't we talk about where it started? So I'm sure you guys remember the beginning of COVID. It's always one of those where were you when you heard scenarios. Well, when things started shutting down, what ended up happening is the demand for outdoor goods went through the roof. There were things like exercise bikes, camping gear, boating, anything that you could get outdoors because everything was shut down really became in high demand and started flying off the shelves. So what ended up happening is that there was zero supply of any sort of outdoor gear because everyone had swallowed up all the inventory. So anything you could find used was selling for more than new. It was just a mess. Now, on the flip side of that, the manufacturers with their uncertainty at the beginning of COVID is they were worried the economy was going to crash and they'd be left with inventory then. So what they ended up doing was scaling back orders, scaling back manufacturing, when at the same time demand was going through the roof. So what we ended up with was the perfect storm. There was the demand that was all the way at record level highs and then supply that was at record level lows. So what the manufacturers tried to do to catch up was put in COVID level demand orders to supply that demand out in the marketplace. Now, what they should have seen coming is that COVID was a temporary issue. As people went back to work, as they were able to get back into their gyms, as they were able to do things on the weekends in buildings like they had done before, that demand starts to decrease. Now, to make that matter even worse, we also have inflation, a recession, and interest rates going up. So if you were looking at financing that new bike, well, your interest rate's now a lot higher, you can afford less. With inflation going up, your dollar's not worth as much, so you can buy less. And with the recession coming, you're going to hold on to more cash instead of buying more luxury goods. So not only do we have the decreased demand from COVID kind of being over, we also have a decreased demand economically. So here we are headed into 2023 with a unique problem. It's basically the direct opposite of the problem that we had at the beginning of COVID. At the beginning of COVID, we had record demand with record low supply. Now we're going to have record high supply with record low demand. So how is this going to affect the industry as a whole as we go into 2023 and beyond? First, with these big box brands and retailers, you're going to start seeing them decrease their marketing budgets, decrease their racing budgets. They might have some layoffs. They've got to offset the costs from all this inventory laying around, or they won't stay afloat. On the flip side, your smaller companies like your local bike shops and your boutique manufacturers are going to have a really hard time, and we might see some consolidation there, or some of them actually even go out of business. And the reason for that is because the demand is not there, and those smaller companies can't ride the storm like a big company would be able to. They might be able to make it a quarter or 2 quarters, where a big box brand or big retailer can make it 3 quarters a year or maybe longer with this perfect world storm that we have right now. So what does this mean for you as the consumer? Well, one, they're gonna have to bleed off that inventory. So you might see some sales out there. You might get a good deal on a bike or part or something else related to the industry. But what you have to remember is that we saw a lot of raw material pricing increases as well as logistics. So a lot of this inventory that these manufacturers might be holding on to might not be a good deal for them either. So your sales might not be as large as they would be if this was just a normal scenario that someone was holding on to too much inventory. The other thing that you'll probably notice is that you won't see a lot of brand new releases with new technology. These companies, even if they have been putting in the R&D to release something new, are not going to want to release it and further discount the inventory they're already trying to get rid of. So they're going to delay those releases until a later time where they can get the inventory of the existing products they have down to a more reasonable level. So as I mentioned before, there was a lot of industries wrapped up in this, and it's not unique to the bike industry. A good example of this is Peloton. When no one could go to the gym, everyone wanted a Peloton at their house. So what ended up happening? Peloton hired a bunch of employees, ramped up production, and we're seeing record sales numbers. But then when everyone was able to go to the gym again, demand just completely fell off. So now they're laying off employees, filing bankruptcy, and having other issues because they didn't have that same demand level over the long period. So guys, I want to hear what you're hearing about the biking industry down in the comment section below, and I'll try to reply to them as much as I can. I want to see what you guys are seeing out on the streets right now. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to Bike 198 for more videos like this in the future. And until then, on to the next one. Thanks guys, see ya.